What's happening, y'all? This is The Pressure is On, a new series I'm doing as part of the Grid Aces show, breaking down every playoff game, both college and NFL, as we go going forward. We're going to also be doing this for college basketball when March Madness comes, and we're going to be doing it for NBA playoffs as well. So stay tuned and follow along for that. But last night, we had an insane game between Miami and Ole Miss. Miami takes the win 31-27, and there's a lot to talk about here. So Miami's going to move on all the way to the championship, a team that everybody wasn't too sure about coming in. A lot of people were upset that they made it in over Notre Dame. There's a lot of controversy around the college football playoffs right now, but Miami's putting on a show, proving that they deserve to be here. Now, Ole Miss put up a fight as well. Again, big shout out to Ole Miss. You go and you fire Lane Kiffin, take on a big bad Georgia boys squad, and they end up winning. Now it's like, okay, can they rally, right? You got interim head coach Pete Golding coming in. I thought he did a great job in that Georgia game. Now, this game, I think he did okay. There's for sure things that I would have done differently. Just watching as a fan, but I think the biggest thing looking at it is you got a man in Q Lacey who's been cooking, tearing up this season. 306 carries, 1,500 yards, and 24 touchdowns during the regular season. And today he had 11 carries for 103 yards, including that huge breakaway touchdown that really juiced their offense, got them going, because before that they couldn't do anything, right? But only saw 11 carries is kind of the storyline. When you look at on the other side, Mark Fletcher getting 22 carries, right? And then you look at the other side and Miami has 190 rushing yards, right? And that was the story of the game. When you run the football, it wears the defense out, right? And it also opens things up for the pass game, right? Safeties have to come in a little more. Linebackers have to shrink the floor or the field a little bit more. So, where I would have done it differently if I'm Pete Golding is I don't think Chambliss needs to throw the ball 37 times, especially in a close game. A game where a lot of the time you saw them either down 3 or up a couple points in the game. There wasn't a need for Chambliss to throw the ball as much as he did. Now, Carson Beck, they both threw for 30. They both had 37 pass attempts, similar pass yards. The reason Carson Beck was able to throw this much and also have this many carries is they just had time of possession way more. Miami did a phenomenal job controlling the football, controlling the field, which eventually led to them controlling the game. And when you look at these high pressure situations that we're going to see a lot in these playoff atmospheres, whoever has the control of the ball more, I think that's who we're going to see end up closing these games out majority of the time. And you usually do. Now, Miami, a top defensive team. However, 27 points they led up to Ole Miss. And in a playoff season where Miami has struggled to score, but their defense has gone through it. Carson Beck hadn't gotten over 200 pass yards in a game until this game. Interesting that they end up scoring as much as they do. Shout out to him for stepping up. Shout out the run game, getting it going. I think that also helped Carson Beck out a lot. The defense didn't show up as much today. I think, we saw it in the first quarter when it was 3-0. The defense looked phenomenal, right? I mean, before that breakaway run for the touchdown, they had like a total of 20 yards, I believe. And so the defense did really good. I think ultimately that breakaway run kind of broke things down for that Miami defense. And I really do think if Ole Miss runs the ball more than they did, they win the game. So, but not to take that away from Miami. Great game by Miami. Now, Pete Pete Golding, excuse me, did a pretty solid job filling in at head coach. It'll be interesting to see if he's coming back or if they're going to find an actual replacement for Lane Kiffin. My guess is probably the other storyline after this game. We saw Trinidad Chambliss pretty emotional after the game. And then this morning it was reported that he will not be accepted in his 6th year. And so he's done. He'll probably declare for the draft. An interesting prospect, a raw prospect. Something interesting we talked about a little bit on the show earlier today, I believe, is he's a very big first option player, right? Most throws, easy first option throws. And once he doesn't have that first option pass, his reading the defense ability isn't the greatest. Miami should have had a couple picks tonight in moments where they just didn't catch the ball. And that would have changed the story of the game a lot. And so, yeah, it's interesting to look at, and we'll have to see how that goes going forward. But let's take a look into tonight's game, Indiana and Oregon. Okay. Indiana's playing phenomenal ball. They just beat Alabama 38-3, where Bama didn't even have a chance, got dominated both defensively and offensively, a team that has been solid on both those fronts this year. And we also look at a team in Oregon who comes playoffs has also dominated. They dominated a Texas Tech team that was looked at pretty strongly, 23-0. And then they obviously dominated their first round matchup as well. But we have the number 1 overall pick in Mendoza. And then we have potentially the number 2 overall pick if he declares in Dante Moore facing off tonight. And that's going to be a movie. All right. Some of the keys for this game is Oregon's defense needs to show up like they did against Texas Tech and really contain Fernando Mendoza as much as they can. Now, he's a big nerd, right? He was on the Pat McAfee show, and he talked about how whenever he, makes a mistake in game or whenever, he's one of the best at reading cover zero. But whenever they, throw a little scheme up and they trick him a little bit, he's like, you got me. And then he tries to figure it out. But he views the game of football as a puzzle. And I think every great quarterback has to do that. And so that's what's really impressive is he's a high IQ player. He's physical. He's 6'5", like 230. And so he's a stud athlete. And, some are saying he might be generational. We'll see what happens. He's a little corny little nerdy off the field, but his on the field status, it definitely goes to show for itself. Now, Indiana is a -3.5 favorite in this game as it stands. And I think, if I'm going to lean one way, I'm kind of leaning Oregon +3.5. We got 2 phenomenal head coaches in Dan Lanning and in Curt Cignetti. These guys are both doing a phenomenal job leading their guys. 2 leaders of men. I think they both do a phenomenal job on the field. Dan Lanning, I probably, at 6s, but I probably have Dan Lanning a little bit higher. So it's going to be interesting. Indiana's defense is playing lights out right now, and that's really going to be the trick here is if Oregon's offense can get it going. Dante Moore is the X factor. If Dante Moore gets it going, Oregon might come away with this one. I think I like Indiana winning this. I think it's going to be a close game. I hope it's a close game. College football has been phenomenal since the playoffs started. NFL has been phenomenal. We've been having phenomenal football. Let's get one more. Let's make this a movie. All right. Winner of this game sees Miami in the championship. Now, if Oregon wins this game, I might have Miami winning it all, which would be phenomenal. If Indiana wins this game, Indiana's taking it all. This is the biggest test for Indiana. I've been high on Indiana all season. I haven't been the biggest Mendoza believer, though. However, he's, a lot of his interviews lately, a lot of his recognition of the game, his ball IQ, how he's played thus far in the playoffs, even though it's been one game. In these big moments is when it matters most, and he's showing up. And even though he didn't have to do a whole lot against Alabama, I liked a lot what I saw from him. And so I fully believe if this team gets past Oregon, they will steamroll Miami. If Oregon wins this game, I don't know, something about it. I just have a feeling Miami has a shot at doing it. It'll be interesting to see. Carson Beck, shout out to him. Somebody that no one's really been high on. Now he is 23 years old, so NFL GMs are gonna be drafting someone who might not have as much potential as some of these other guys in Ty Simpson, Dante Moore. So it'll be interesting to see. He'll probably go mid to late rounds, but he's a good solid. I think he will serve as a good backup quarterback in the league. Anyways, make sure to tune in tonight's game. Stay tuned for the next episode where we will break down this game, and then we're going to take a look into the championship. That'll either be tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, there you go.